Welcome to AstroTwins Radio, your cosmic GPS for life, love, and everything written in the stars. We're Tali and Ophira Edut, the AstroTwins, here to decode the astrology of the moment and help you navigate your destiny like a pro.
Hey there, everyone. It is the week of November 10th to 16th, and we're coming at you a little bit later than usual. We're going to use Mercury retrograde as an excuse. We usually like to try to get the podcast up on Sundays, but true to form, we decided to, beat the odds and attempt to travel during Mercury retrograde. Well, Ophi did. I changed mine. And, usually it works out, but this one was a little bit slippery. I am in Montecito, California today. Tali here.
And I'm back in New York as of 4 a.m. Instead of 10 p.m. because Mercury, because shutdown, because everything. We'll get into that in a minute, but it's that kind of a week.
It is that kind of way. So Mercury turned retrograde Sunday, November 9th in Sagittarius, the sign that rules travel. So that's a bit of a double whammy. And if that wasn't all, this Tuesday, November 11th, it's 11/11 week, Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, the planet that rules our travel and airfare and long distance excursions, is also turning retrograde in Cancer, the sign of home and domestic affairs. So no surprise, domestic travel here in the United States is just under fire. And we have lots to talk about. There's all kinds of updates going on with the government shutdown. Is it going to end? Is it not going to end? We're going to get into it. But yeah, Ophi, I'm so sorry you had to, you got shuffled off your plane and onto another one, right?
It could have been so much worse from what I've heard other people going through. I got home at 4 a.m., but here I am rallying. However, didn't really bode for the podcast recording schedule we had hoped for.
It seems like a year has happened in a week, though, I have to say. And part of the reason we've been in LA, we went to LA first to record a podcast, A Really Good Cry with Radhi Devlukia. She's that'll be out sometime soon. She's actually Jay Shetty's wife and a really amazing Leo. She was off to a cookbook conference, so she's, they're like the power couple for sure, Leo and a Virgo. And then we came to Montecito for our friend Dina Canton, formerly Dina Manzo from the Real Housewives of New Jersey, who we've been friends with for a really long time. She was on the first couple seasons and a fan favorite, and we just bonded over our, she's definitely she's a priestess all the way. She invited us to come to Montecito because she works with a group of women at this incredible bookstore called Godmothers.
Yeah, you may have heard of it. It was started by William Morris agent Jennifer Rudolph Walsh, and named by Oprah. So Montecito is, the home of Oprah and Eckhart Tolle and Harry and Meghan.
Joe Dispenza. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like quite a vortex. And as we were finishing up the 2026 book, putting the last touches on it, it was pretty incredible to be in that space while doing it. But we did an amazing event with a group of women at Godmothers, teaching them how to read their birth chart in about an hour and a half, and a little taste of our Become Your Own Astrologer course that we give every February.
Yeah, it's I gotta say, it's really wild to be here in Santa Barbara, Montecito. Like, it is like another world because it is like definitely one of the wealthiest places in the country. Actually, we went to an orchard that was that's owned by Ty, the guy who created Beanie Babies. He's like in his 80s now. He has this, but he has said, the
Or so
LA
Virgo would
and
create
Virgo.
beauty babies. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, he's a Virgo and he has this incredible like property with like rose
San
gardens
Ysidro
and
Ranch. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, and it's like where am I? Like in a way you kind of feel like the weather's been incredibly nice. Like you're reading the news about people losing their SNAP benefits and then you're walking around all this. It's such a bubble. It's like an incredible bubble and I feel very grateful to have been slurped into it for a week. People really love flower arranging and there's olive trees growing everywhere on the property. I mean, it's a reminder that like that kind of wealth, but people here are more like that I've met at
Connected.
least. They're connected. They're connected to Earth. They're connected to humanity. I mean, it's California.
We're also in California when the election results all came in. Yeah, we're also here as Prop 50 passed, as Zoran became the mayor of New York, Mikey Sherrill,
Detroit. Yeah,
Detroit. Yeah.
Detroit elected its first female mayor, black female mayor too. Mary Sheffield. And yeah, Mikey Sherrill became the governor of New Jersey. We still don't have a
Spanberger.
mayor in Seattle. I've been checking. I did my mail-in ballot before I left. We only do mail-in ballots, at least for now, in Washington State, which is so much freaking easier. I can't even tell you. I'm like, wait, you have to wait in line at a voting booth. I forgot what that was like. But, speaking of which, there's a lot going on today with the Supreme Court and this week. And I think it's really interesting and maybe a little unfortunate that this is happening while Jupiter is turning retrograde. Jupiter does also rule the law. Jupiter was Zeus in, the
Hmm.
king of kings, the lawmaker. Um, and here it is in Cancer, which tends to be more, you know, can tend to be xenophobic on the shadow side, but also can also be protective of women. And so but it's all Cancer rules home, family, women, and the Supreme Court today, Monday, is hearing a case challenging mail-in ballots, which is one of the
Oh,
Republicans'
God.
moves for trying to you know, rejig the 2028 midterms and desperately hold on to power. Meanwhile, the Democrats, a small group of Democrats, as probably anyone who's turned on the news has heard, has voted to, move to a vote to end the shutdown. And a lot of the people who've really been holding out in the Democratic Party are considering that a major betrayal and saying, well, their donors don't want to lose money. Christmas and Black Friday are coming. They don't want to hurt the economy or hurt their businesses because if the shutdown waged on and people couldn't travel for Thanksgiving or, shopping and people didn't have money for that, well, that would
God
definitely,
forbid well, what's so interesting is also
right.
while we were in California last week, Uranus backed into Taurus. So Uranus has been in Gemini since July 7th, from July 7th to November 7th. It was the first time it was there since the 1940s. And Gemini is all about innovation and technology. And we saw the huge AI bubble. And then, literally, on November 7th, the day that Uranus backed into Taurus, which is a sign of money, Taurus is very material. It's Gemini's ethereal air, you know, tech, digital everything, AI everything. And then Taurus is terrestrial, it's human, it's the sign of the human being, the body, food, farming, material goods, money, supply chain, just all of these. Uranus retrograding into that is like you're going to see rebellion against that. We'll explore what that might have had to do with Democrats caving. But what I saw happen pretty quickly were that very day articles started being published about, is there an AI bubble? And everyone started writing about it. And what was really interesting is that in our 2026 horoscope book, which I hope you've gotten a copy of or gotten your gifting, we're about to release all our Black Friday bundles a little early. So we have a new section in the back that we're calling the Almanac, the AstroTwins Almanac. We do articles every year in the book about historical, political, economic astrology. So we did a real deep dive into these topics and into some very interesting financial market cycles as well. And it was really interesting to see how that coincided with Uranus backing into Taurus. Because when Uranus first went into Taurus, briefly in 2018, then settled in 2019. In our book, we wrote about, will there be a cashless economy? Is it the end of money? Will there be multi-sensory virtual reality? Like all these things that we were like, wouldn't it be weird if this happened? What if you could 3D print food? And now, as we are in the final months of Uranus and Taurus, it's going to leave for good, not to return till next century on April 25th of 2026. But just, I think that we're going to see people revolting against too much technology, the moving too quickly AI development, the farmland that's ruled by Taurus.
How crazy is it that there were also bread lines? Like I think of Taurus as kind of that like salt of the earth, the harvest, the bounty, the earth's bounty sign. And I mean, we had that Taurus full supermoon on the 5th, and that was the day that the blue wave happened, which I also thought was like all these grassroots candidates and grassroots efforts succeeded in Zoran Mamdani didn't take any, PAC money. He was, got in there and talked to all the communities, talked to people individually. Prop 50, these things won. It was like very Taurian. And then we have Uranus coming back into Taurus, and people are in bread lines. And what I thought was so,
which they were the last time Uranus was in Taurus in the Great Depression. So
right,
we're going to read
right.
some sections of the almanac. We're going to do audio of it and probably publish it in the podcast feed too. So can't wait to do some story time with you guys on that. But we are definitely going through some cycles there where it's looking like, some true systemic economic repair is in order.
I mean, I think we're going to already see some of it. I mean, what was really confusing also was that, a judge ruled, and I'm still trying to understand what happened. Like a judge ruled for the Trump administration to release the full November SNAP benefits. And then it went to the Supreme Court. And weirdly, which seemed, I don't get this at all, Ketanji Brown Jackson allowed Trump's administration to then freeze the benefits. So it's like, and now there's another appellate court ruling that's happening. So all this stuff and it involves the USDA. So this is all very Uranus and Taurus chaos. But yeah, Uranus is disruption, chaos. It comes in like a wrecking ball, but it is about innovation and this necessary change and revolution. But we do on the positive side of things, I think the Supreme Court actually did um deny a request from Kim Davis to revisit, she wanted to revisit their same-sex marriage decision. She was trying to get gay marriage overturned. And so she
illegally refused to affirm some gay marriages because even though she was sworn to, because it went against her personal religious beliefs. And that is, that's the kind of thing that's happening. And yet, this is what's so bizarre to me, like this year and this Uranus and Gemini, Pluto and Aquarius time where we are like really seeing the shadow side of what has been brewing under the surface, the hate that people have for each other in society, for different
fear
groups.
Around progress.
Lauren Boebert, who is an elected official dressed up as a Mexican woman, and her boyfriend dressed up as an ICE agent for Halloween. Like we are now living in a world where like this cruel, racist, open taunting is being sort of celebrated by the people in the cult as a free speech. And it's like it's turned into
It's
this
hate
dirty
speech.
schoolyard fighting and cruelty. And it just, to me, it's like Christianity, Jesus is about feeding the poor, like the Statue of Liberty says, give me you're tired, you're hungry, you're poor. Emma Lazarus's poem. It's like there's nothing about America and Christianity that isn't predominantly about making sure those who don't have food and basic needs have it, and that we all have this responsibility to each other to make sure that those who have also help those who don't. And
Well,
it's
it's Pluto. It's Pluto, the destroyer in Aquarius, a sign of society.
and
And
togetherness and community.
wherever
Mm-hmm.
Pluto goes at first, it's also another one of those Pluto and Uranus can be destructive planets. Pluto definitely is, but it's that phoenix rising from the ashes. So we see these like breakdowns of society, like, oh, we won't feed the poor, we won't take care of each other. It's like every man for himself. But I think it's highlighting what Pluto will do is highlight the extremes so that people are like, wow, we don't want to go to that level either. And, it's one, and same thing with technology too, like these AI robots,
Oh yeah, that was some like that's been getting mocked. And this company has created these $20,000 robots that are supposed to kind of do stuff around your house. But not only are they terrible at it and clumsy, but they're actually controlled by a human operator who's like basically virtually looking through your home and everything through cameras in the robot's eyes. So it's like pay $20,000 of a predatory stranger in your home because your ass is too lazy to get up and put your coffee cup in the dishwasher. Like, no. Although I also read that China has
so
some
crazy.
robots that are moving so quickly that they can't even be distinguished from humans. So once again, China is ahead of the United States because, Jupiter in Cancer is maybe Jupiter's favorite place to be, but I feel like it makes Jupiter can be arrogant, cocky, egotistical, and um, in its own bubble, drinking its own Kool-Aid. And when it's in Cancer, the sign of home, it's like we get a little too high on our own supply domestically. We start putting tariffs out. We start putting up these protectionist kind of measures, the anti-immigrant, anti-foreigner mentality that
The
is,
ICE raids, and
yeah,
now,
well, yeah, of course.
Homeland Security has become, the military, I just read, has now killed 76 people just blowing up boats in the Eastern Pacific and Caribbean. Fishermen, by and large, they're claiming are narco terrorists. I know. Do you think Jupiter retrograde, Ophi, will maybe help right any of this?
Yeah, I was thinking that Mercury and Jupiter retrograde, the slowdowns that can come with retrogrades, may have people rethinking. They might have a Marjorie Taylor Greene moment, some
Oh yeah, let's talk about
MTJ
that.
moment. She's a Gemini, so she can switch sides. I'm sure she has her agenda. I mean, it's a dystopian world when some of the things she's saying sound more rational
She went
than
on a media tour. She went on all the left media and The View, and she's like going against the Republican and
she
putting
wants to
down,
release the Epstein files as
and
soon as
just
the government
trashing men.
reopens. She wants to read it on the House floor. I
I
don't
mean,
remember,
I'm
but
here for it. Go ahead, Marjorie Taylor Greene. And that's what's also, it's like, Matt, they're like these Democrats, like Tim Kaine, who wasn't he Hillary Clinton's VP candidate?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
just these like people who are they're not even up for re-election. So they're just like, screw it. We're gonna
Screw
like
it. I want
sell everybody
Thanksgiving.
out. Like
I feel like they
here,
just
there's
want
this,
Thanksgiving,
they
and they're
want their
just like,
donors. Their donors are pressuring them. And so they're just, it's all. it's all a business deal, and politics is, as you know, being able to take campaign funding is just destroyed any integrity that politics might have ever had.
So it's an article in The Guardian about Bill Gates and billionaires and climate. And I really like this line because I felt like it made sense of stuff. It says, how have these billionaires managed to channel so much of the world's money into their pockets? And why can't we get it back through effective taxation? This is a very Uranus and Taurus question. It's like, well, just tax them more. And it says the answer is their translation of economic power into political power. The richer they become, the more they can bend the state and economic systems to their will, ensuring that they become richer still. But Bill Gates says nothing in his essay about how and where extra money for both climate action and poverty relief could be found. He wrote something about that. Sort of, I haven't read it yet, but the sense I got was it was like him kind of wagging his finger at the world. So what I took from that is that economic and political power are really going together more and more, like you said, with all the PACs and everything. So having candidates that aren't bought are really the only ones that people are trusting. It's like people don't trust what they have. Now, these, the Zoran has got to prove that he can keep his word, of course, and do his best. But I believe he's going to try. Let's see what happens.
Well, what I think is very Pluto and Aquarius that he did, and if he can keep it up, could revolutionize politics here in the United States, is that he involved and engaged citizens in his campaign. People actually got excited about, what he was standing for, and he invited them to be part of it. And he gets on social media and invites you and shares transparently and uses humor. So I think it's a lot like what Obama did and what people were drawn to. It's like, hey, you're not, people want to feel that they have a sense of power and agency,
and they want to feel like the person they vote for is going to make things better. They don't want more of the same if they're dissatisfied with it. They want, when there's as many problems in the world as there are, people are going to vote for a candidate who's suggesting something new. And frankly, that's how Donald Trump won, because his opponents were kind of status quo in a lot of ways. They didn't have a radical new vision. He did. He had no intention of fulfilling it. It was nefarious, but for the person who was just pissed off and had enough and felt like it was time for something else, he had no problem just, lying through his teeth and saying that he was going to give that to people. But he doesn't care if he comes through with his word or not.
And I don't think most politicians, unfortunately, do. But what I do think is, a little bit of a red flag too about Mamdani, and not him, but like we're all still looking for daddy to save us. We're also looking for this one. I mean, we do need strong leaders. Strong leaders will always be essential. But the era that we're moving into with Pluto and Aquarius is also about, not waiting for someone else to, empower you. Or
Pluto and Aquarius in its sort of settled state is power to the people, among the people. Like Pluto and Capricorn, which we had from 2008 to 24. Capricorn is the patriarch, the father, the noble leader, the fighter, the hero. It's like we were holding out for a hero, and now it's like a completely different game. It's like gonna be in that no matter who is elected, it's still people have to stay engaged. We can't just like close our eyes and coast through. If we don't stay involved, the billionaires that got the billionaire class that got created with Pluto and Capricorn is going to just continue to run things unchecked, I believe.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, let's bring it to the personal a little bit and talk a little bit about what people can expect from this week. Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius does come with a use filters warning. Sagittarius is an open mouth, insert an entire shoe store sign. When it's retrograde, like you want to just make sure that you're being strategic about what you share, what you put out there, what you say. Um, I will say Jupiter going retrograde, I think a little bit of hell hath no fury. There is like a woman scorned. There could be some real, clapbacks against the manosphere, frustration, with family members could also run hot.
That British Vogue piece that came out, I think we mentioned it last time, was like,
Yeah.
is having a boyfriend embarrassing? Has unleashed a wave. Another thing, like Scott Galloway, kind of the moderate manospheres
Yeah, the raging
icon.
moderate, as he calls himself.
Yeah, he has a new book out about that's like spawned these articles about like, what have we done to men? Boys are in crisis. They're emasculated. They don't know how to ask women out for dates. They're lazy, they're this and that, they're just inert, and it's this like manufactured crisis. I'm not saying, I mean, I know, young men and parents of sons who are frustrated,
But his whole
that.
premise, we were listening to his interview with Kara Swisher. It's like the three P's for men, like the protector, provider, and procreator. It's like these very.
That's where I have an issue, and that's what we're talking about, the status quo. It's not that he hasn't identified a problem a lot, and not like the candidates
About the partner, that's the fourth P that was missing.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all these people are identifying the problem, but they're just bringing back a solution that worked in earlier eras and no longer does. They're not finishing the assignment and coming up with a new vision, and that's what I think. There are going to be a lot more Zoran Mamdanis coming out because people do not. That's why Bernie Sanders, who is one of the oldest people in politics, has the youngest, freshest soul and vision of so many people, because he's speaking for what is happening now. He's like, we can't do that anymore. And he's lived through the eras where those things worked. He's asking and calling for solutions that fit the problems of the moment.
Yeah,
and
we
that's
don't
what
need
we're
a
going to need.
protector, provider, procreator. It's just so polarizing. And so
all these
it's like
men who are getting on the bandwagon of fertility rates and birth rates, like, I
the
get it. That is,
pronatalists.
yeah, I get that is statistically a thing, but also like trying to go on a marketing campaign for people to have babies is such a band-aid. There's so many.
China, there's now a robot that has a artificial womb that can carry a baby to term. So, like this is, you don't even have to
Wow.
be pregnant anymore. You can
Robo
just
surrogate, an AI surrogate.
rent a womb and skip it all. But is there a connection that's lost when a robot is carrying the child?
This is why I'm glad we have a couple of retrograde planets
Oh,
in
and
Cancer.
there is some good, there is a good update that I read about of Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, which lasts until March 10th. The FDA is actually removing the warnings around estrogen. So that's good news for hormone replacement therapy for women of our certain age. If you're perimenopausal, so if you're within 10 years from menopause, they're removing warnings about using estrogen and hormone replacement therapy, which was which was actually, yeah, they were outdated. It
was a study done on a very small population that
said it caused breast cancer. That's been, I think, debunked now, right? And
a long time ago. So yeah, but that's why the whole sort of menopause product gold rush has come out. But with Jupiter and Cancer, like,
and retrograde,
absolutely, yeah. And retrograde,
by the way,
have people doing more research and learning more about it. So as as a proud patcher, I can certainly attest. Like, so when I meet like a millennial woman, I'll sometimes be like, this little tiny band-aid shaped circle will save your life in 10 years potentially. So, and your
Um,
relationships and all the things
They're
contributed
saying
to
that women who are
innovation.
boomers who never did hormone replacement therapy actually can, I think, in
Hmm.
some cases, start taking it and
Well, a
have like
retrograde
positive
is a time
results.
for research, going back, learning. So maybe if you heard things before, like go back and learn and unlearn and see if it's for you. It's a great time to explore with Uranus and Taurus and Jupiter and Cancer, both retrograde. It's a great time the rest of the year to really learn more, research, study, find out about things that maybe you thought you couldn't do with your body, or even just like I'm going to rejoin a gym after a long time because I'm just like some of the body stories, shame, etc., that are stopping me.
We are at this like fascinating moment where science with Pluto and Aquarius and Uranus and Gemini, they're going to be trining each other. We wrote all about that in the 2026 book. Like there is some incredible scientific development that's happening that can impact our health, but also some that's just like not only an eyebrow raise, but a WTF. And it's
Yeah.
not, we're in a new era. We're entering a new era
Just got
here.
to keep fighting for it to
I'm
be
gonna,
funded and not have those departments and that
Meanwhile, I'm
research
just trying to
cut.
figure out how if our friend Dina still has any viable olives left on the trees outside here.
That seems like a
Because I
really
want
good
to
use
make
of
some, I want to
Uranus and
cure some,
Taurus.
yeah, I want to like, I'm like, come on, we can make, she actually has olive trees that could be, turned into like cured olives or olive oil. It just might be a little late. It's like the end of the season, but I'm thinking of climbing up on a ladder because I saw I've been, procrastinating all morning here and there whenever I take a break from writing, just reading about how to make your own olive oil. So I don't know. That's just,
Honestly, with the things that are happening with Snap, I mean, to me, like, that is a sign that cruelty has really, even no matter who is in charge, cruelty has been exposed in the underbelly of America that I'm personally shocked that that there's that much of it. I
if you have to
shouldn't
go to
be.
those lengths and manipulations to try to bring back manufacturing and bring back jobs, like you have to, why do you have to, like, it just seems so unnecessary and extra. There's
It's like trying to
grifting all
solve
over the
a
place.
problem of the future with a method from the past, which I
Well,
think is going
there's,
to really get shaken up with Uranus's last run through Taurus.
which
But like,
lasts until April 25th, by the
yeah,
way.
so get ready for that, but also like pinpoint those things, spot them, say, like, what, that's an old model. Maybe we don't have the new solution, but this one we can do better. Let's push ourselves, let's come together. Like, I think people are going to start independently creating their own food supplies, their own. I
Well,
mean, I
we
was
have to talk
reading,
about that a little bit. Yeah,
yeah,
there
I mean, I
is.
was reading about as in our historical and our astro almanac in the 2026 book. In my research, I was reading about shanty towns, Hoovervilles that were created when in during the Great Depression, when 1 in 4 Americans was unemployed, and there were bread lines that stretched for blocks, and people
Wow.
lost their homes. They lived in these makeshift communities called shanty towns or Hoovervilles. It was like an FU to President Herbert Hoover at the time. Um, and Seattle's even had a mayor named Jesse James, who was like, he wrote a memoir about it, which I'm really intrigued by, where he talked about how like the people here are not like these derelicts running around. They're like really hardworking people that want to have jobs, and they're bringing all their technical skills to create these what we with scraps of wood and metal to create living situations. But like that was the fact that it got that dire. And it was all because of
That's
wealthy
fascinating.
Wall Street speculation. and debt and credit and promises and hope. So you can read about that in our almanac. But, we can learn, we definitely don't want to go back to that. But we need to remember that we, again, like you said, Tali, like we should not hold out for a hero, a daddy, a savior, like that mentality, which is also allowing these mega church leaders to take advantage of people using the language of the savior. And
Right.
It's
Well,
just, it's not what Jesus was even preaching.
yeah, I think we're going to see a new wave coming up in 2026, the year of the Unbridled Spirit. One year, we're going to see a new wave of younger leaders really coming in and pouring in. This year, 2025, is really just showing where stuff has just
Transition.
not aged well. One thing that, that's interesting about Jesse James, the Seattle mayor, we still have these sort of modern day shanty towns, Nicholsville, like people will like donate a plot of land and then they build small, tiny homes for people who are kind of in transition from being unhoused and they kind of live together in a little community and
Seattle
it's
is such a case study for like how to be prepared for that kind of hostile government takeover. So it's quite fascinating to
I
see.
mean, and there's also, in terms of we have to be ready for anything because speaking of Bill Gates, he and Larry Ellison from Paramount, Warren Buffett even are buying up huge swaths of farmland as an investment. But what are they going to do with it? I have my theories on it. There's a few things. One could be AI data farms. If it goes wrong, it could also be core civic buying it up and making private prisons and farms will be where they imprison people. Like it's actually not illegal to have basically slave labor with someone who's incarcerated. It's already happening here. So Core
Prison
Civic
industrial
is
complex.
is
Yeah.
the company that is, and then but another possibility is that, there's vertical farming going. People are transforming city buildings and they're starting to use drones to pick the fruit. So,
And we
the whole
wrote about that a
farming
couple of years
industry.
ago, even in one of our trend report
Yeah, in
almanac sections.
2024 we did. It's like and it's growing. So, will
Even in our
human
2020
labor,
book, we said for the decade it was going to be the second half of the decade was going to be the age of air, where things would be going up. There's a flying car that's set to come out. I mean,
but
well,
it's like strawberries are now being grown without soil. So it's like, but is that good or not? Like, I
right.
don't know. It just remains to be seen. But technology is here. It's not slowing down. Innovation is here. It's not slowing down. But it could also push us back into the analog. I think we're just going to see a great divide between tech and analog. It's interesting times in the second half of the decade. But
Why don't you
this
go pick
week,
some olives and
I'm going to go pick some
start
olives.
practicing that muscle? But
Yeah.
yeah, so 2026 horoscope books about to be unleashed. We're about to release the PDF version of the big book, start sending out all of the copies that you got. I think some of the first ones have started shipping. So we can't wait to get those to you guys for holiday gifting. It's full of predictions that go from January to December, all the most important dates to help people plan it by the planets. Comes with 2 bonus gifts. You get our digital hotspots calendar. We can populate your entire calendar for the year with all the most important dates, the retrogrades, the new moons, the full moons, the planetary transits, and a ticket to our 2026 Planet by the Planets masterclass. We do that live online and we get together with just like an incredible high vibe group of people. And whoever, you get a book, you get a ticket included, and you can join us in January to really get the year set off right.
And let's not forget, this book also has an astrocartography report where you should travel in the year ahead that we did with Helena Woods. And it has a human design report. So 2 new sections there along with the almanac. So astrostyle.com/2026-book, or just grab it from our Instagram or our TikTok, link in the bio or the show notes here. We're also still offering readings. We have a few spots left before the year is through. So astrostyle.com/readings. Sit down with one of us on Zoom and we'll get you set up with understanding what makes you tick with your birth chart and what's ahead with the transits. So without further ado, I'm going to go and see about a ladder for those olives.
And be careful.
Wish me luck. I know,
retrograde.
Mercury, I know. Jupiter doesn't go retrograde till tomorrow, so I still feel safe. I'm not afraid of a ladder, but okay, everyone. Wishing you a peaceful week and one that's as conflict-free as possible.
Make
We'll be
some
back
wishes
next
on
week.
11/11, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to AstroTwins Radio. If today's episode gave you an aha moment, we'd be over the moon if you left us a 5-star review. It helps fellow astrology lovers find us. And make sure to hit subscribe and follow us on iTunes and Spotify so you never miss an episode. Want the full visual experience? You can also watch the video version on our YouTube at AstroTwins-TV. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at AstroTwins and head over to astrostyle.com to read your free daily, weekly, and monthly horoscope that we write for you with love. Until next time, move with intention and let the universe meet you there.